Biohazard warning. Entering contaminated zone. Transmissions jammed. Proximity coverage only. Backup activated. System rebooted.
What's up, agents? Your boy Sly here, and I'm back with another Division guide. In this video, I'm going to go over my two favorite armor builds and why I use these two different setups depending on what mode I'm playing in. First off, these are not really tank builds or DPS builds that I'm going to be recommending. You can find those on pretty much every other YouTube channel. What I'm going to be recommending are two different armor setups. So, if you've been following me from the start of my Division coverage, then you know that in the betas and throughout the beginning part of the story, I recommended to all my viewers to focus solely on health. Health will get you through those tough solos, and that still stays true even today. But this time around, we need to start broadening our horizon. We're veteran players now, we know how the game works, we know the mechanics, how to swap from cover to cover, what perks we have, and how we can properly activate them. So, to use our characters to the max, we need to focus on everything now, and I plan to go over everything I recommend in this video, but first, let me dive into these builds just a little deeper. So basically, to me, this game is a looter shooter with a small PvP base. Unlike Destiny, where you can enjoy the game without ever setting foot in the story, what little there is, you have to grind to get the better loot. Even the Dark Zone endgame stuff, you have to do the same as everyone else, beat the story, do the challenges, get the Phoenix creds, and then look for the best gear possible. To do that, you need to rely on a steady income of Phoenix credits and a solid Dark Zone farming run for boss drops and DZ chests. So I have two sets of armor that I use while playing the Division. One set I use specifically for challenge modes, high DPS, high health, with high level armor that matches my playstyle, signature skill use, and my equipped skills. Modding is very effective in creating your unique set, and I'll go over that in a few. The other set of armor I use is a Dark Zone setup. Now yes, the Dark Zone is definitely a hairy place to battle, but it's no challenge mode, that's for damn sure. Way less funneling of enemies, and a lot more places to spread out and hide, or places to fight from. My skill setup, it's a little different, and my armor is definitely different. The second set of armor I use focuses solely on scavenging, because to me, the DZ is pretty much a farming area full of bad guys that you have to defend from every once in a while. Now, if you want to solely do the rogue thing, DZ 1 through 3 is usually where that happens. And while I'm sure it will eventually spread north, going rogue and trying to fight off agents and level 32 enemies is pretty much death waiting to happen. So most of them stick to the lower levels to avoid running into a mob of high level enemies while trying to escape as a rogue. So for my Dark Zone setup, I focus solely on scavenging with as high a DPS as I can get away with without sacrificing too much health. Now if you're wondering what too much of a sacrifice is, I usually stop if my health drops below the 70k range. In this armor build, you can still take a lot of damage, but not near as much as the challenge mode build. In the DZ, there are a lot more angles to choose from, more places to hide, and it's easier to get away and regroup if you need be. Challenges usually mow you down in corners all over the place, or they stick you in those new death trap elevators. Now with those pointed out, let's go into the details. First, I'll briefly go over which weapons I pair up with them and why. The one weapon I take with me everywhere I go is my beloved Vector. Now I've used a lot of weapons in this game, and I still have yet to find anything that can compete with the damage it does in such a short amount of time. I've used the Liberator, I've used the Pacan, I've used Midas, I've used Caduceus, all the snipers, all the scars. Hands down, it is still the best of the best. The Vector does indeed lack for range though, and it will drop its damage at range pretty quickly, but that's why I always have my Caduceus as my backup, and in the DZ, my first wave M1A is always in my backpack just in case. Now for challenge mode, of course primary is my Vector, but my secondary is the Pacan. Now it lacks in DPS compared to the Caduceus, but the talents on there is what makes this a great challenge weapon. It's on the screen, take a look. First off, this light machine gun packs a punch, and it has a fairly large clip. I love upgrades, by the way. It's very stable for an LMG, and the crowning achievement of this gun are these talents. Take a look at these bad boys. Not only do I do more damage to named and elite bosses, which pretty much sums up challenge mode, it ignores and destroys almost 20% of enemy armor. And if you're familiar with challenges, their armor is the main feature that makes these guys so hard to kill. So stacking these two talents together makes using this gun a no-brainer and a great choice for challenge mode gameplay. If you guys have anything similar to this, I recommend using that, even though it has lower DPS than your first primary choice. Alright, well let's get to it, man. Let's take a look at my challenge gear. As you no doubt have noticed by now, once you start getting item level 31 stuff, you have to start choosing between amazingly high stats like DPS, health, and skill with medium armor, or insanely high armor with like low to medium DPS, health, and skill stats. Gold gear will kind of merge that gap, but it still won't be as high in armor as some of these item level 31 purple superiors. So you need to end up making a choice. Do you want to withstand more of the initial attack and do damage over a longer period? Or do you want to take the quick, aggressive, high damage, short burst at the enemy when the opportunity presents itself? For me, if the enemy is in the open, I'm taking that moment and I'll get shot regardless if the enemy is shooting in my way or not. So because of that, I go for high armor, medium stats, with as much DPS and health as I can with very low skill power. Plainly speaking, besides a blinding sticky bomb and a select few other skills, the rest are worthless in challenge mode, and it's better to focus on team shooting rather than spamming your skills. Like I said, that's only for challenge modes though. As you can see here, I have a decent amount of DPS and a good amount of health with a lot of high armor. Now this is what allows you to take 2 or 3 shots from those shotgun runners before they swarm all over you. You can actually survive getting shot by shotgunners with high armor. Now your armor will take the brunt of those bullets before it impacts your health, and you will notice a huge difference. It's kind of funny because you can always tell who the high DPS hero is in challenge mode, because it's always the first guy who gets one shot by a shotgun. So now let's go ahead and move on to my Dark Zone setup. Now like I said before, I focus on one thing in the Dark Zone, and that is loot. Challenge mode to me means Phoenix credits and guaranteed gold high-end items at the end, so you don't really need scavenging that much for stuff that's already guaranteed. However, nothing in the Dark Zone is guaranteed, so having your scavenging up as high as possible is, in my opinion, the best way to go. Now, if you aren't sure what scavenging is, I'm going to pop this up on screen, take a look, check this video out I posted a week or so ago. I go over where you can find scavenging, what to look for to get your scavenging up. It's a great place to start if you want to learn all about it, so give that a view. Now, since there aren't as many yellow 32s and their armor seems a lot lower in the Dark Zone than in the challenge, I switch my gear back to medium armor with all the high stats. So I'm back in the higher range of DPS, health, and skill with a lot less armor. Now, skills are very, very helpful in the Dark Zone, and they definitely are not a waste of a talent because they don't get hacked nearly as much, they don't get shot out the way, and they're great to use in open areas. Once again, the sticky bomb flashbang reigns supreme to stun lock those enemies for easy team shots, and since they don't seem that hard to take down in the Dark Zone as compared to challenge, I switched my signature skill out from tactical link to the survivor or recovery link. Keeping your team alive in the Dark Zone is critical, y'all. I mean, you never know when you're going to get rushed or tricked, so having your backup with you at all times is crucial. Keep them safe and they will do the same for you. So just like I recommended in my other videos, I shoot for more health in my DZ build. First thing you will realize very quickly is how effective all that extra armor really is. You will lose your health a lot faster with less armor, so having lots of it will help lighten the blow. Now, since skills are lifesavers in the DZ, I try not to go under 12,000 to 15,000 skill power and around 90,000-ish DPS. I shoot for 100k plus health for the DZ. It allows you to hang in there a lot longer. You will fight longer against rogues, longer against enemies, and you can take more hits while you're critically wounded so you can make a comeback. Remember, you are in the end game activity. You will do damage based on your level regardless of what DPS you have. Now, of course, DPS does make a difference, but don't think because you have lower DPS than others that you cannot kill an enemy. Trust me, you can. So here's some of my armor that I use for the DZ. As you can see, I swapped out a lot of my high-end gear and my high armor superiors with lower total armor superiors, but you can see here they match up with my weapons, my skills, and have a focus on scavenging. Now, the Holy Grail is something that hits on every weapon and every talent that you are using, and then gives you an extra 2 or 3 mod slots. If you can find one of those, y'all, consider yourself very lucky. Now, I mod every piece of armor that I can, and you should too. Not only to get your stats up so it unlocks your weapon talent requirements, but it beefs up your damage, it beefs up your health, skill, and it helps out in other ways. Now check out this mod I used. This piece has already a significant amount of scavenging on it, but I added a mod that gives me 9% extra scavenging along with helping out my sticky bomb. What is not to like about that? And if you're like me and have gone from 0% scavenging one moment to all of a sudden over 150% the next, you can help me verify that it makes an incredible difference in the amount and quality of the loot that gets dropped for your agent. It is truly a night and day difference. Instead of like item level 31s occasionally dropping for you, it becomes a pretty much constant thing, and anything over 150%-ish scavenging will increase the amount of gold items dropped as well. It used to never happen, but once I hit above 150 scavenging, golds are now a regular item from named bosses in and out of the Dark Zone. All daily hard missions, I usually use my DZ scavenging gear because they're not really that hard at all, and the named boss at the end drops me a lot of yellows this past week. I think this past week I've gotten 5 yellows just from hard dailies alone. So I keep it on until I switch over to challenge, which is then of course a whole nother ball game. But that's it, guys. What you just seen pretty much sums up my 2 major builds that I use in the Division. Of course, there is nothing wrong with setting up your character for a tank build or like a combat engineer, maybe even a healer, but why limit yourself to just one thing? In my opinion, I believe that a team of 4 can all be healers, all do damage, all tank, set traps, whatever you want to do on your enemies, and having all 4 of them do it, I believe is way more efficient than having a dedicated healing guy, than a dedicated tank, or delivery, whatever you want to call it. A good team has 4 men and women that can do it all. That's the beauty of a small squad. But that's it for me, ladies and gents. Hope this video helped you out, and hopefully it settled a huge question on everyone's mind. And that is what to shoot for once you hit the end game. One quick thing is that to be honest with your playstyle and build towards that, don't shoot for all DPS, because everyone thinks that tanks and DPS are the ultimate coolest builds. That's wrong. An agent that wins every time is the ultimate build. So make sure you shoot for that first. If y'all have any questions, feel free to hit me up in the comments below and I'd be happy to answer any of them. Also, if you want to stay up to date on everything The Division, Destiny, and new uploads from Sly Nation, Twitter is the best place to do so, y'all. Follow at Sly Nation and be alerted to anything new and awesome about my channel. Join the nation, folks. Like the video, subscribe. I never ask you to do that, but help me grow this awesome gaming community into something more, and with your help, we definitely can. I'm out, guys. Could not do this without you, and to all my citizens out there, this one is for you. Have fun in the Dark Zone, rip Bullet King, and until next time, agents, this is your boy Sly. Done, gone, outie.
Ammo inbound. Zone B secure.